Hello, our dear viewers, and welcome to a new edition of Africa Today. And we'll start with this report where Cairo said it categorically rejects Ethiopia's decision to start the second filling of the controversial Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam reservoir after the Ethiopian Minister of Water Resources officially informed the Egyptian side with the decision. The Egyptian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has forwarded a copy of the Ethiopian letter to the President of the UNSC. Samah al-Sharif has more details in the following report.
Cairo said Ethiopia's unilateral decision to start the second filling of the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam will increase the state of deadlock and tension in the region and will create a threatening situation to security and peace at the regional and international levels. Ethiopia notified Egypt of the decision on Monday. In response, Cairo said the step by Ethiopia could escalate tensions with downstream countries, Egypt and Sudan, who have raised the GERD issue with the United Nations Security Council, which is set to convene to discuss the issue on Thursday. The commencement of the second filling comes despite the lack of a binding agreement with Cairo and Khartoum. In a response letter to Ethiopia, the Egyptian Ministry of Water Resources asserted Egypt's categorical rejection of Ethiopia's unilateral move. Mohammed Abdel-Aati described the move as a blatant and dangerous violation of international laws and norms, as well as the Declaration of Principles agreement signed between the three parties in 2015. The Egyptian Ministry of Foreign Affairs has forwarded a copy of the Ethiopian letter to the President of the UN Security Council. Egypt, which depends on the Nile for over 95% of its fresh water, fears the dam will significantly affect its water share if a legally binding deal is not reached. Sudan fears the unilateral filling of the reservoir will threaten the lives of millions of its people living downstream of the dam, jeopardize the operational safety of its own dams, and consequently risk Sudan's national security.
And the Foreign Minister Samah Shukri called on the United Nations Security Council to shoulder its responsibilities and actually to act to reach a binding and just agreement about the filling and operation of the Ethiopian dam. The Foreign Minister's remarks came during his meeting with representatives of the Russian and Chinese to the United Nations, ahead of the United Nations Security Council session to discuss the Renaissance Dam filling issue on Thursday. During the meeting, the top diplomat expressed Egypt's firm stand toward the issue that is based on the necessity of reaching a legally binding agreement on the dam's filling and operation, taking into account the interests of the three countries and preserving Egypt's water rights. Foreign Minister Shukri held another meeting with the Arab Committee concerned with the dam's file, which includes Saudi Arabia, Jordan, Iraq and Morocco, plus the Arab League. He said that he held a meeting with the permanent members of the African group of the UN Security Council, as well as representatives of Estonia, Ireland, Mexico and Norway, the non-permanent members of the Security Council, over the Ethiopian dam. Earlier, Shukri met with Tunisian permanent representatives to the United Nations, as Tunisia is a current Arab representative in the Security Council. This as the Foreign Ministry sent a letter to the UN Security Council detailing the latest developments to Ethiopian dam file ahead of Thursday's session, which called to discuss the dam. In its letter, the ministry said Ethiopia's side move is a dangerous development that exposes its bad intentions and insistence on taking unilateral measures. According to the letter, the move proves Ethiopia's stand to enforce the status quo without reaching a deal that addresses the interests of the three countries and limits harm to the two downstream countries. It warned that the unilateral decision of the second filling of the dam would worsen the crisis, arouse more tensions in the region, and jeopardize the international and regional peace and security. While and Sudanese foreign ministers said firmly that they are rejecting Ethiopia's unilateral move of the second filling of its dam, saying the step contradicts the Declaration of Principles and goes against the international laws guarding the use of the cross-border river resources. The top diplomats warned that the move is a dangerous provocation that proves Ethiopia's bad intentions and adamancy to force a status quo on the two downstream countries. Indifferent to inflict negative impacts, They agreed to continue discussions with UN Security Council members to gain support for the call by Cairo and Khartoum to reach a legally binding agreement over the dam's filling and operation. The two ministers further stressed the necessity that the deal addresses interests of the three countries and preserves the water rights of the two downstream nations. Well, that was about the Ethiopian dam file and the latest developments regarding the file of the Renaissance Dam. And moving on to the digital transformation, where as the world is undergoing digital transformation, Africa is catching up with the tide. And the international experts say Egypt is the first country in the Middle East region and North Africa to accelerate the digital transformation and support women entrepreneurs. Samah Sharif has more details.
National expert in the Social and Civil Affairs Division at the Union for the Mediterranean, Anna Dorangrichia, said that Egypt is the first country in the Middle East and North Africa to accelerate digital transformation, present an example of partnership between the public and private sectors, and support women entrepreneurs. During the UFM Women Business Forum on Tuesday, Dorangrichia asserted that the Egyptian state exerted every effort to accelerate digital inclusion and support women-led projects. Dorangrichia said that Egypt is the first African country to ink agreements in this respect during the World Economic Forum. She lauded the programs accredited by the Federation of Egyptian Industries to help the businesswomen on acquiring the necessary digital skills. She said Egypt is making tangible and clear progress to achieve its targets, which includes supporting economic empowerment of women.
And the South African researchers initiated a nuclear-based approach that could help drastically reduce the poaching of the rhinos. More details.
Researchers from the University of Witwatersrand initiated a nuclear-based approach that could help drastically reduce the poaching of rhinos. By introducing harmless amounts of radioactive isotopes into their horns, researchers aim to make them more detectable when crossing international borders, which should decrease their demand on the market. Professor James Larkin, director of the Radiation and Health Physics Unit at the university, said, "It came from a discussion with friends about 2.5 years ago. They were looking at other ways. Some people had tried to put poison into horns, others tried dye. Those haven't worked very well. So someone said, why not try putting radioactive materials into those?" He also says by putting small quantities of radioactive materials in the horn, you make it easily detectable to the 10 or 11,000 installed radiation monitors around the world. The Rhizotope project, carried out in collaboration with several international partners, such as the Australian Nuclear Science and Technology Organization, Colorado State University, Rosatom, Russian Federation, and the Nuclear Energy Corporation of South Africa, says it aims to put a stop to rhino horn trade, which, despite being illegal and banned internationally, still continues to this day. A kilogram of it can be valued at about $50,000. According to the South African Department for Forestry, Fisheries and the Environment, 394 rhinos were poached in South Africa during 2020. At the current rate, wild rhinos could be extinct in less than 8 to 10 years.
Well, with that, our dear viewers, we'll come to the end of this edition of Africa Today. I hope you have enjoyed it. Until we meet again with another cruise, goodbye. Many thanks for watching.